This is going to be just me pouring my heart out. Um, this is definitely going to be a journey, and I am in the process of transforming my life and transforming myself from patterns of negativity and living unconsciously. I hope that this medium, this just allows me to just get the thoughts out and share who I am, and maybe even develop some relationships that can also create this sense of belonging and understanding and support. And if I could be that to someone else or other people. But mostly I would just really like to share just my entire process and where I am in my journey and how I am processing things and my tools and the experiences and the things that I'm realizing and the circumstances and events that I'm finding myself in every day, and how I am transforming it into something just much more positive for me. And also this journey of becoming a person that feels much more fulfilled and a person that feels like I am making the most out of my life and also getting the most out of life and also giving the most, because I believe that it all works together. You can't have one without the other, really. um I began this process of transforming myself and transforming my way of thinking sometime in October or November of 2015. And it started with being in this place of just isolation and desolation and confusion and frustration and unhappiness and lacking energy and lacking the vibrance and passion for life and for things and for people, and always being afraid and always being unsure and always being insecure and always worried and always wanting to know what was going to happen next and what to say next and what to do next and how to be and what was appropriate, and wanting to be liked and wanting to be loved and wanting to be appreciated, and giving myself too fast, too soon to people, and feeling undervalued by them. It's like this continuous cycle of just dead end experiences and dead end people and a feeling of a dead end life. And I had circumstances and events from that point on that have brought me to this place. Where I am right now definitely has a lot more clarity, definitely feels a lot more supported, working on trusting a little bit more. Feels much more assertive. Feels much freer. I feel younger every day. I feel much more vibrant, and I feel passionate, and I feel creative, and everything is just better now. But it's not perfect. The work hasn't ended, and I don't expect it to end. and I don't know if it's ever going to end. So I'm creating this vlog just to communicate and express and share my journey and my process and share who I am. That's really it. If someone can get something positive from it, beautiful. If nothing happens, I'm still meeting my intention anyway. So I started the journey, and it has been just tremendous. I'm going to get into the first part of everything. I had circumstances, events, people, and emotions in my life that I wasn't happy with. And I wasn't happy at all. The first thing I started doing, the first thing I learned to do was to meditate. The first thing I learned to do was to start reading self-help books. I was reading a lot of books. I was doing a lot of research because I couldn't seem to understand why I had this feeling that I wasn't living up to my full potential. I felt like I had a lot of desires. I had a lot of dreams. I had potential to just live a really incredible life, and something was missing and something wasn't clicking and it wasn't happening, and I needed something to help me understand it. So I read a lot of books for years, and I got ideas about certain things. I started having understanding of the way the mind works and the way I'm thinking and the way I'm feeling and the way I'm living my life. Even though things weren't coming together then, but I started having an idea of just terms and different kinds of mentality and different ways of living, and also seeing examples of the different lives that other people were living. This introduced me to meditation. And, there are a lot of teachers out there to talk about meditation, and I understand that there are a lot of people that are very hesitant to this idea. I mean, it's 2018, and a lot of people still think that when they hear the word spirituality or meditation or yogis, and they just believe that it's just very esoteric and it's for people that their minds are just out there, and they're not logical people. They're people that are looking for an escape, like hippies, all this new age stuff. It is true, but it's not for everyone. There's some people that need it, and there's some people that don't need it. There's some people that it works for, and there's some people that just get scammed. It's like everything else in life. You're the only person that can determine if it's good for you and if it's not. You're going to know from the way you're feeling, and you're going to know from the life experiences that you're having. And for me, it changed my life. It changed me. It changed everything. I started meditating. It was difficult because I had a very busy mind. I had an overactive mind. I had a mind that was always running. I had a mind that was running when someone was speaking to me. I had that mind that was running as soon as I got up in the morning. My mind was worried about the day. I was beating up on myself for not getting up early enough. I was having thoughts of inadequacy and telling myself that I should be up at a certain time, not this time, and successful, happy people are up at this time and are doing things at this time, and you're here sleeping and just rolling around in bed and you can't seem to get up. And I would just have thoughts like this going on and on and on and on, and it would make me even have a harder time getting out of bed. But I didn't realize that these thoughts itself were creating an emotion within me. These thoughts that I had somehow cultivated the habit of thinking all through my life, maybe from birth or maybe from what I had seen around me, maybe from conditioning, from society, maybe from the media, from whatever, I really don't know, but the thoughts were there. And I wasn't living consciously enough to realize that these thoughts were the reason that I was having the life that wasn't pleasing to me. I just felt like life was shit and everything was shit and most people were shit and most situations were shit. Everything was just shit. And because I thought that, I felt that, and everything was just shit. So I would struggle getting up in the morning, and then my day would just start from there. Get up, I'll finally make it up by like 11, 12, 1, God knows whatever, whenever, and I would start moving, and that would just be another struggle and complaints and a lot of hesitation to do the things that I felt needed to be done that day, and a lot of running around taking care of errands and things and making phone calls. It was just all responsibilities and responsibilities and responsibilities, and there was just no joy in my life, and there was just no happiness. There was no sense of light. There was no sense of it was just heavy and dark and bleak, and I just knew that it didn't feel right, and I just knew that it wasn't what I wanted at that point, after probably 20 something years of literally living like that. I just thought that that was the way life was, that this is just it. You just survive, you just go through everything day by day just like this, and you just try to figure out, from a linear, you're going to have to excuse me with my enunciation. I get like that sometimes with my rolling my tongue. Linear, with my linear way of thinking, meaning if I do this and I do this way at this time with this kind and that way, I will get this result. Or if I don't do this and I don't do that and I don't do this way, and with this time I get this result. I just had that pattern of thought. So I just kept acting and reacting the same way over and over again for years. And then I ended up just limiting my life so much and closing myself up so much and putting myself in a corner, so far in a corner that I just felt alone and just empty and lost and disconnected. So I started meditating. And when I started meditating, it took time. I started noticing that I was thinking a lot about everything. But the difference between me before meditating and me after meditating was just me running on automatic. I would think a thought and I would just follow it. I would react to it. I would respond to it, and I would just keep going that way. I thought I was my mind. It might not make sense now when I say that I thought I was my mind. I remember then too, teachers that I was listening to, they were saying that you are not your thought, and I just thought they were crazy. Because how could you not be your thoughts? That's what I thought. I just thought they were crazy. Time went by. I was meditating, and it felt nice to be taking some kind of action that I knew was sort of new agey and spiritual, and was going to connect me to something out of this world. Because in all honesty, what I wanted was to be out of this world, because everything in this world just felt so hard, so unnatural, so difficult, so heavy, so artificial, and I just wanted out. I wanted out mentally. And, meditating felt like I was joining this culture of people that were connected to something really cool and something spiritual and something beautiful, instead of the things that I have come to know and appreciate, or that I've been taught they were to be appreciated and strived for in this life. So Meditation was fine, but I still wasn't finding what was missing. And then I found a teacher through someone that I met that I felt inspired to speaking to. And she told me about a teacher, which I will talk about a little bit more as time goes on. And this teacher gave me a few tools and processes to help me get to the place that I was struggling to get to. A place that I didn't even know at the time that I had gotten further and further and further from as time went on. So this teacher, one of the things that this teacher taught was appreciation. And I started doing this. I started writing every single morning since 2015. 3 pages minimum of anything and everything I could find to appreciate. And I would take a walk right after doing this task, and I would appreciate outwardly just things that were just great about life and the world and nature. And as weeks went by, I started to notice my emotions changing. I started to feel emotions that I had never felt before. I started to feel excited about doing something in the morning. And what I was excited about doing in the morning was my appreciation. Because I was starting to see results. And I was starting to feel great, and it just felt really good to take power and control over my life. So I started this process every single day for months. I started noticing that I was relating to others a little bit more. I wasn't as shy. I wasn't as insecure. I started feeling inspired to meeting with certain people and having certain conversations and doing certain things. I started to find myself in the game of life. I started to find myself wanting to be a part of life. And after this, I found myself, all my desires that I had just held back and bottled up for years, desires that I was too afraid to admit to myself, desires that I was too afraid to admit to others, desires that I was so insecure to own or to go after, started coming up. They never really went away. I sort of found reasons to just like subdue them and just keep them suppressed. But as I started this, it was almost like I really couldn't deny myself. I couldn't deny myself. I couldn't deny what I wanted. I couldn't deny who I was. And these things just started coming up. And I had to sort of not face them, but get to the point where I'm starting to pay attention. And then a completely different journey began. A journey of just life and conflict and confrontation and being assertive and crying and fighting and running and sharing and discovery, and so much that I probably will be getting into the next post. But this is basically how my journey began. This is basically how I was thinking in the first stages. And I don't remember if there was anyone that was talking about what they were experiencing, or if I was just not aware of it, or if I was just not able to find it. But now I'm in that space where I want to talk about it, and I want to share it, and I want to own it and be more of that. It never ends. and sometimes it's a fantastic thing, and sometimes that just beats you up every single day.